Hi, what's up everyone? Kevin here. In this video, I want to share with you my top 10 favorite park snowboards of all time. Over the years, I've had the chance to ride lots of different park boards in different resorts around the world. And I want to share with you guys the best boards I think for jumps, rails, for butters, and for just doing tricks around the mountain. The number 10 board on my list is the CAPITA Pathfinder. And if I could describe this board in one word, it would be consistency. So whether you're going for your first jump trick or you're hitting a box or a tube, you're gonna get a very consistent feel out of this board. And another highlight of the Pathfinder is that it comes in at a very low price point. I think of all the boards on the list, this one is the most affordable, and you're getting a very consistent board that you can definitely take anywhere in the park, from a jump to a rail, and get that very consistent and fun feel out of it. The number 9 board on my list is the NIDECKER Sensor. This is the first board on the list that has 3D tech. So the NIDECKER Sensor has sidekick in the nose and tail, which basically means that the edges towards the contact points actually lift away from the snow. And the sidekick really makes the board feel catch-free. So if you're going for a spin off a jump, or if you're doing a butter in the snow, you really don't feel like you're gonna catch your edges. This board is also a mid-flex, so giving you stability on jumps, but still soft enough to get butter tricks. But overall, just a very catch-free and easy board to ride. The number 8 board on my list is the CAPITA DOA. The DOA is one of the most popular snowboards in the world, and for a good reason. And the DOA is not a traditional park snowboard because it's not a true twin, but it's still a board that I really enjoy riding in the park because of its stiffness and camber. The stiffness of the board give it a lot of stability for hitting medium to large size jumps, and the camber also gives it a lot of energy. So for doing nollies or ollies, getting up onto a feature, you just feel very stable and like you have a board that's gonna give you a lot of feedback as well. So the CAPITA DOA, not a traditional park snowboard, but one I really enjoy and one of the best boards I think for more advanced park features. The number 7 board on my list is the SALOMON HUCK knife. This is another board that is very popular. I see the HUCK knife all the time in the park. And the reason I think it's so popular and the reason that I like it is because it's a very versatile snowboard. So it's soft enough that if you want to do small tricks or do butters, it's really going to allow you to do that because of the softer profile. But it also has enough camber and pop to it that you can hit larger features and feel stable and good doing it. So a very versatile snowboard that you can definitely take from beginner features all the way through to advanced. And I think that's why it's so popular. And that's why for me, it's at number 7. The number 6 board on my list is the LibTech box knife. The box knife is the first board on the list that has magnet traction. And what magnet traction basically is the edge of the board is wavy, giving you a lot of grip and control on icy or just really firm snow. So this is really important in the terrain park because you want to have that grip and control on the approach of a jump or any kind of feature. And this really comes into play too if you're on the East Coast and if your local resort gets icy, then having magnet traction on the park board could be really important to you. Another thing that LibTech does is they don't fully wrap the metal edge around the nose and tail. And to me, this really makes this snowboard feel lighter. So a great combination of a nimble board that gives you lots of control. The number 5 board on my list is the BATALEON Evil Twin. I mostly got to ride the Evil Twin in Cardrona, New Zealand, and the highlight of this board is definitely the 3BT. So BATALEON boards, they have the 3D technology in the nose and tail where the contact points or the edges are lifted up away from the snow, making this board feel very catch-free for spins, for doing butters, for hopping onto features, you just feel like you're not going to catch your edge. So definitely the highlight of the Evil Twin is that catch-free feeling. It's also a mid-flex, so very easy for doing butter tricks. Doing my butters in Cardrona, I could just very effortlessly do them because of the 3BT tech and the softer flex. But this board was also great on tubes and on jumps, and one of my favorite boards that I'm definitely gonna own again someday. My number 4 favorite park snowboard of all time is the CAPITA The Outsiders. I rode this board in the Zermatt Summer Snowboard Park, and the reason this is one of my favorite boards is because of the stability and energy this board puts into your park riding. So the stability comes from the stiffness. It's around a 6 out of 10, which is definitely on the stiffer side for park boards, but that stiffness just gives you so much stability for landings and for feeling solid on tube or rail features. And then the energy comes from the mostly positive camber profile. So when you go to do an ollie to get up onto something, the positive camber really just gives you that energy to be able to do it. And although it is positive camber, it's not so much camber that the board feels catchy. The camber definitely mellows out towards the tips. Unfortunately, I did have to give this board away in Zermatt because my snowboard bag was too heavy to bring it back with me, but still one of my favorite boards of all time. All right, we're heading into the top 3, and my number 3 board is the GNU HEADSPACE. And the HEADSPACE just has so many good things going for it. The first thing is that it has magnet traction, so that wavy edge, giving you that extra bit of grip on icy or firm snow. I was mostly riding this board in Cardrona, New Zealand, and there's definitely a few icy days in the park, and the magnet traction just gave me so much control for the approach on features. So love the magnet traction. It also has edge-free nose and tail. So without that extra metal edge around the nose and tail, it makes the board feel very light and nimble. So great for going for 180s or getting onto tubes or rails, just gives you that really nimble feel. And then finally, the HEADSPACE has C3 technology. So mostly positive camber profile, just giving you lots of energy for ollies and that stability too that comes from C3. And although this board has the C3, it's still soft enough that you can do butter tricks. So a great board that does everything. The number 2 board on my list, and this was really tough to decide between 1 and 2, but at number 2, I'm gonna put the Super DOA. So the Super DOA is like a more heightened version of the regular DOA. They've taken out some of the core, making the board lighter and more pressable. And they've also added in some carbon to make the board more energetic and poppy. And the way that I describe this board is that it's just really fun to ride in the park. Because it's so lightweight and because it gives you so much energy, it just makes doing tricks just that much more fun. And it's really helped to elevate my park riding in general. And with the name Super DOA, it does sound like it just could be a gimmick, but it really does live up to that name. And my number 1 park snowboard is the NIDECKER Sensor Plus. I've been riding this board for about a year now, starting last fall in the Hintertux Terrain Park in Austria. I rode it throughout the winter and then into the summer at Mount Hood at the Summer Terrain Park there. And the reason that this board is number 1 for me is the combination of full camber with NIDECKER's Sidekick 3D technology. So that full positive camber gives you lots of energy and control for riding at high speeds, for landing jumps, for staying stable on tubes and rails. And when you combine that with the Sidekick, which raises the contact points away from the snow, you get a really catch-free feeling. So whether you're spinning off of a jump or getting onto a tube or rail, you really feel like you're not gonna catch because of that Sidekick. So in my opinion, that combination of full positive camber with the Sidekick just make this my favorite park board, and that's why it's at number 1. Awesome, so those are my top 10 favorite park snowboards. If you've ridden any of these boards and have any feedback, it'd be great to hear from you in the comments. I'll also put links to all 10 of these boards in the description if you want to check them out. If you want to support the channel, I'll put a link here to my Patreon. And if you haven't yet, definitely like and subscribe to see more videos like this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have fun out there snowboarding.